Hey guys, it's Aida here. I'm going to be doing a quick little video for you guys on how to sew the masks that we're making for the TSS Mask Endeavor. So here's one that we've been using. It's been washed, so it's a little wrinkly, but we tried, me and Maggie, to design something that would be as universal as possible because we can't really custom fit things. We've tried like probably 4, maybe 5 different patterns, and this was one that we kind of invented as a hybrid of a couple different ones because it had all the features that we liked. So one thing is it has a lot of pleating. So what that does is it allows it to expand quite a bit. So it can fit smaller faces, wider faces, bigger chins, larger noses, as in my own. And then it also has the twisty ties doubled up here so that it can really like pinch around the nose and grab hold well. And then we left the bottom hem open so that you could insert an extra filtration layer. So that could be anything from like a piece of flannel to like a cut up vacuum bag, which is really good filtration. Even a paper towel I think helps. So what you guys will be getting in your sort of kits is a stack of this like gorgeous Kona cotton in a variety of colors. I tried to pick colors that would all look good with each other, so you can just do whatever random pairings you want. It doesn't really matter. You'll be getting some zip ties, hopefully enough. I just grabbed like a random fistful for what we need to do. I think everybody's getting enough material to do about 30 masks. We'll be giving you the elastic that you need, and then also envelopes and stamps, so that as we get these orders in from the Otis community, you guys will be able to send them out without having to spend any of your own money. So let's get started. The first thing that you guys want to do, well, the first thing I've been doing, also I'll preface all this with the fact that I am not a very good sewer, so you might have tips and tricks that are much better to get this done faster, but this is how I do it. I'm a little bit slow. The first thing I do is I'll fold it in half so that I can find a good center line. Because we are doing 2 layers, if they're not centered well, then when you put the 2 layers together, that peak is misaligned and it just looks kind of, I don't know, shoddy, which isn't really a big deal. It doesn't really matter. It's still going to function the same, but if you have a little bit of the OCD like myself, then that just folding it, you don't have to iron it in anything, just lightly crease it with your finger, and then that gives you a really good reference mark for where that center is. So when you're doing these folds, it's easier to see. So we want to start by doing this hem. You'll see that the pattern has 1 curved edge and 1 angled edge. It had started out with 2 curved edges, but because we have to have a hem on that outer pocket side, it was really kind of a pain in the butt to do this curved hem, so we've just simplified it to be a slight angle. Fortunately, the angle is obtuse enough that we don't really have to do anything super special to fold over or miter this this angle point. It just it gets a little bunchy sometimes, but for the most part you can just, it lays flat when you go to sew it, so you don't have to do anything super special. So we're gonna start doing, it's like a chubby 1/8 of an inch. We want it to be as thin as you can, but that's about as thin as I can go, because again, I'm not great at this. So you'll just sew them. You want to do 2 folds, and again, you want to be mindful that the peak of this angle is lining up with that folded line that we made earlier. And you'll have that little bit of a bunch right there, but it's not going to matter when you go to sew it. It'll just sew right over it. So 1 fold, 2 folds, keeping it as sort of narrow as you can. If it's bigger, it's not a big deal, but I think it looks like it's about maybe 3/16 of an inch. So that I tend to pin it because, again, I'm not great at this. Not everybody has to, but it's a little bit extra time to do it, but I just feel like it helps me to keep the hem in place. I know my mom would not need to pin it because she's way better at this, but so that's what I do. So you'll do it to both pieces. and then we'll go ahead and sew the hem as the first step. Okay, here we go. We're gonna sew. So we want to start, I've been lining the edge of the hem up to like the inside of the foot, just as a good guide. It ends up giving a really very narrow space between the edge and the sew line, which I think looks good, but do whatever you're comfortable with, doesn't really matter. Also, this Bernina that I got from school is amazing. So much better than my Singer, so I've been having a great time. So go ahead and sew till you get to that center line, and with the needle engaged in the fabric, you can lift the presser foot, turn it, and then continue with the second leg of the angle, and it just makes it a little easier and look a little bit cleaner. Oh my God, so much fun. This machine is so great. Okay, so hem number one, you can see on this side that the direction of the thread follows that angle really nicely, looks super clean. So I'll go ahead and do the second one, and then we'll pin them together. Okay, so we're gonna pin these together. Here's a step where if you didn't manage to get these peaks in the center of the fabric, you can sort of correct for that and just line them up to match anyway, because we have enough extra on the sides that it won't really matter. If it is super off, just make it, you know, as good as you can. It's not really super important because ultimately it will work either way, and if they don't look perfect, it's fine. So the elastic, we're going to be cutting to a 10-inch strip and a 12-inch strip, and that might not fit everybody's head perfectly, but I feel like it's a pretty universal fit. We got the measurements from the N95 dust masks that we have at the shop that are pretty standard, and that's sort of the lengths that they use, so we're going to stick with that. So the short strip is going to be used on the bottom, and the longer strip is going to be used up at the top. So you want to, we're going to be sewing about a 1/4 inch in around the whole thing. So you want to set the elastic on the inside up here at the top about a 1/4 of an inch down, and just pin it there. And then make sure, whoops. Okay, make sure that it's not getting twisted on the inside here, and pin it on the other side. Also about a 1/4 of an inch down. We're going to go ahead and do the hem all the way around. Try to make your corners clean. So again, do that method where you, with the needle engaged, lift the foot, turn the fabric all together so that you get like a nice clean edge. And then we'll flip it inside out and do the pleats. Okay, so let's flip it inside out. Take out that little guy. You can use the elastic to sort of help pull that corner out. Okay, so it looks pretty good. So then we're going to be doing the pleats, and these are a little particular because we have just enough room to do 4 1/4 inch pleats. So they do have to be done kind of tight, or else you won't be able to get them all in. I don't think it really matters if you start at the top or the bottom, doesn't really make a difference. So you're going to start about a 1/4 of an inch down from where that elastic is, and fold up and then down, and then allow that pleat to lay flat, and then at the bottom, so the furthest point of that fold, pin about a 1/2 inch out, and then pin up through that top layer like that, if you can see. And it is a little, I mean, do whatever works for you guys. That's just, I found that like giving yourself a little bit of space helps to keep it from being too bunched up. So when you try to pass it through the sewing machine, it doesn't like get jammed. It's able to sit a little flatter and hopefully not have problems. So again, you'll move down 1/4 inch, fold up and over, and you're just going to keep working your way down the whole length of the side. And when you're done, you should end right above the last elastic. Okay, so once that's done, we're just going to pass over. So go ahead and pass the top elastic through the foot, underneath the foot, and then try to set it, arrange it so that it's sort of sitting as this edge is as straight as possible. It kind of wants to be in a little bit of a natural curve, but you want to try to straighten it out a little. Oops. Don't forget to drop your presser foot. Okay. This is kind of a pain, but I was able to do it on the Singer before I got the Bernina. So that's a pretty crappy machine, the Singer, and it was still able to manage this. So I think you guys should all probably be fine with it. And you can take the needles out as you go. Obviously, I just don't trust myself, so I always leave them in. But yeah, pull them all out, and that's that. So it's a pretty good little pleat situation, and allows it to be able to be a smaller mask if it needs to be, or expand a lot to accommodate different size faces. So repeat on the opposite side, and then we'll install the twist ties. Okay, last step. You're gonna grab yourself 2 twisties. I fold them in half and make a little bit of a pinch just so I have a reference for where center is. And then you wanna travel into the depths of this pocket mask, and hopefully you'll still have some faint sign of that crease we made. If not, you can always just fold this thing in half and make yourself a new one so that you get a good center reference. And then we just want to shove this inside, trying to line that center of the twist ties up to the center of the mask, and set it in there, and then just pinch it with your other hand and bring everything back down over. So you want to pin it so it doesn't shift around on you while you try to sew. And we're going to sew 1 center stitch going vertically to keep it in place side to side, and then I just do 2 little stitches horizontally on the ends to keep it from them drifting down, but you can do 1 full stitch if you want. Do whatever feels right for you. I just can't sew a straight line, so I just do little ones so that I'm not so worried about it. And I lost my center. Okay, so there's my center line. And you do want to make sure that the twist ties are like pushed as far up as you can. Okay. Okay, so then you're just gonna clip all your little extra strings, and that's it. You made a mask. Potentially saved a life, and gave Otis people some free stuff. So, all right, see you guys later.